Howdy folks, Mark Serbu, gun designer, gun nut. Yes, I am excited even more than usual. Well, you know, I love this stuff. So finally, the Super Turkey is here. Yeah, that's kind of our code name for it. I'm not going to call it the Super Turkey because, well, it doesn't sound that good, but man, it's beautiful. Beautiful, well, except for this. What do you think of that pistol grip? I'm not gonna lie, I hate it. I think it just looks so wrong. I mean, this line of the back of the receiver, it's not continuous. It kind of just does that, and this, I don't know. It's like something out of it kind of reminds me of something out of an Alien movie. Aliens, Alien Requiem. I like the Alien movies though, but anyway, I think it looks awful. But I went to lunch today with some friends who are Venezuelan, and I showed them pictures, and they're like, "Oh man, that grip is fantastic." I'm like, "What the heck?" But you know how it is. Different strokes for different folks. So some people think this looks amazing, and some people, like me, think it looks like absolute dog crap. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And what's funny is, or tragic, is it's got this really nice overmolded grip. I mean, it's perfect. This part of it's perfect. This part is shit. And also there's a big old gap here. You know, it needs to get closer to the trigger guard because it's actually a little bit long of a pull for your finger. So that's kind of dumb too, but they can't go too far because the safety's right there. So that's a problem. I don't know. I'm going to model something up and 3D print my own so I can live with myself when I'm showing it off. But anyway, some cool stuff that you budding gun designers need to pay attention to. The conversion of this thing, you know, this is child's play. You're chopping the barrel down, you're chopping the magazine tube. I did rethread the mag tube for a Remington standard thread, which is it's actually a weird square kind of thread, and obviously, you know, you've got very thin tube on the magazine tube, so it's you can't go that deep with it either. But anyway, it's nice to have the standard, so you can use Remington mag caps, and use kind of a similar thing that I've done in the past with the little hinge here, and I welded that myself. Yes, welders are very vocal on on videos. Hey man, you didn't do that right. You got a little bit. You know, there's always some comment from the welders. But what's funny, well, it's not funny, but when I first did the conversion here, I had to chop these action bars down, and I mentioned in the previous video on the Super Shorty that these are not like the Mossberg and Remington where you have two distinct, like you've got a left and a right. This is actually like, it's like a ladder. It's got a couple cross pieces, and so it's all connected. It's all one big machined piece, and it's very well made, and it was very solid. I'm like, man, this thing, it's just so nice, and it racks great. But when I did the mod to it, I had to chop it and weld it. You can just see there where it's not perfectly welded, but we're gonna have the company that makes these, we're gonna have them just modify it to our specs for the next batch, so I don't have to worry about that. But anyway, this little piece here, you can see there's a flat spring here. You can just see the top tangs of it. You see that? Anyway, it kept this thing in alignment, and it let this thing slop around a little bit, because one thing about shotgun actions, and a lot of things in firearms in general, you have the ability to sometimes over constrain the action. So what you've got going on is these action bars are sliding into machine cavities inside the receiver, so it's constrained by that. It's also constrained by this hump that goes up inside of this bolt. Now the bolt kind of gets to slop around wherever it does, so it doesn't really constrain the motion of anything, but these two guide rods, which, as I said, they're actually one piece once you get in here, they are constrained in the track inside the receiver. And then if you have this solidly attached to this tube here, now the mag tube constrains its motion as well, so you could end up binding. So they have it so it kind of floats, and this flat spring that wound around here, this kind of kept it so it could kind of teeter back and forth. Well, as soon as I went and chopped off, this had actually a pretty big piece of, actually it went this way, a big piece of tube, because it rode all the way down the mag, and of course, you know, the longer the tube to engage the mag tube, the more stable it is. So once I went and did my little magic on there and put this little handle on, now this thing, it had a fair amount of play, so it was kind of slopping around, and when you went to pump this thing, it was bad. It was, I was really kind of bummed at first. I'm like, man, this thing sucks. This is terrible, because it was so beautiful when it was full size, but you know, it's kind of hard to chop things down and have a completely different force you're putting on this system that wasn't designed to be done that way. So after a day of kind of being bummed about it, I said, you know what, let me just constrain it, because they were, you know, and that's a funny question about when you're designing something, like a gas tube, for example, on an AK, well, it's a gas piston. That piston is always kind of sloppily, you know, it's threaded into the carrier, but it's always kind of sloppy and it can move around. And the question is, does it need to be sloppy like that? Or would it be okay if that was tightly constrained and screwed really solidly into the carrier? And probably in that case, you know, they did what they had to do, because they had issues with it if they didn't let it slop around. But something like this, it's just, oh, it's good practice to allow some freedom here, because this is tight and snug in here, and if you have it snug here and snug here, it's going to bind. So do they just do that for good practice, or is it something they did trial and error and they found, oh well, this thing is really clunky unless we give this some freedom? So I went against the grain of, well, I don't know, you know, did they do that out of its practice, it's good to do it, or did they see it in actual use? But whatever, I went against that idea and I said screw it, and I did a couple little welds in here, and not great welds, but what the heck. And I actually welded over parkerizing. Normally we blast it off or at least buff it off or something, but I say, hey, let me try to weld on parkerizing, and it worked. So now this thing, the action bars, or action bar, action ladder, whatever the hell you want to call it, that is solidly welded to this piece now. So this piece that was formerly able to tilt back and forth, now it can't. But you know what? That's exactly what it needed, because now, and actually also this thing, you could rotate this thing up on either side. It would come completely disengaged from the action bars. So that was kind of weird. But now it's constrained here, and it's freaking beautiful. This thing is nice now, and I'm very excited about it, because it's a winner, you know. But before I was like, oh crap, this could not work out, you know. I got a couple dozen of these things lying around, they're going to be just crap. But something else I did, I just engraved the standard Serbu Firearms Super Shorty logo on here, right over top of their logo for their company that made it, and we're gonna re-engrave it on the other side, and of course the future ones will have it somewhere else. But it's funny because we just put Illuma black on there and engraved right over it, and it smelled like a giant fart afterwards, but it works, so what the hell. But yeah, this thing is cool, and it's going to be available. And of course I can't talk about that sort of aspect of it, but from what I hear, there is a waiting list that I don't know if you click on a website or you have to email about it, but I think there is a waiting list to be put on for these, so that's something you might note. I might even have to take this part out, we'll see. But something really interesting about the Super Shorty and, you know, AOWs and a lot of NFA stuff, you know, AOW, short barrel shotgun, short barrel rifle, and silencers, suppressors, whatever. They all got, you know, in the big beautiful bill, they got all the tax taken off of them, which was really awesome, because bottom line is the government can't just regulate these things if, like, taxation was their excuse. Without that excuse, they can't regulate them anymore. So they're, you know, the instant that bill passed, a bunch of different groups are suing the government to try to take those untaxed firearms. Now they're trying to take them off of the NFA in general, which is really awesome. So now these things, it's kind of funny, because these, when they came in, they had full butt stocks on, and I was pissed off. I was like, you know, I can't lie and tell the government, well, I mean, you can, but who wants to go to jail for something stupid like that? So you could just say, oh no, they came in with pistol grips, these are all AOWs. And it is kind of dumb to think that because they came in with full butt stocks, they can only be made into short-barreled shotguns. But if they came in with pistol grips, now they're shotgun pistols, they can be AOWs. It's a $5 tax instead of a $200 tax. So I was like, man, that sucks. This first batch, I'm going to have to sell to people with a $200 tax, a short-barreled shotgun. So first people, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll lower the price, I'll split the difference with them, whatever. But now the tax just went away, and of course it doesn't kick in until January. So if you get one of the first 25, it's going to be, we're going to have them specially engraved too, and it's going to say on this side, it's going to say Super Turkey 1 of 25, 2 of 25, 3. So that's kind of cool, and you're going to pay $200 extra for that, unless you're going to wait. And we could do that too, you know, because I think the tax goes away in January, but a lot of people don't want to wait that long. But we could transfer it to a dealer, and it could just sit at your dealer until January, and you could skip the tax. That's kind of cool if you just want to wait. Yeah, it's only 3.5, 4 months, right? So it's just kind of a funny time, and I never thought we would be here in all the years I've been doing this. This is crazy, you know. That's, I don't know, and of course, and after all that, if they do get these successfully get these off the NFA, that's going to change everything, because now these will be sold like any gun shop, you know, over the counter, just no waiting. Like, wow, holy crap. Now, along the way, many states, you know, they duplicate what the government does as far as gun laws. So there are a lot of states that have outlawed short-barreled shotguns, sawed-off shotguns, whatever, all that stuff. So that sucks. So if you live in a state that doesn't allow it, you're kind of screwed anyway. But this, I don't know. You know, this has been the redheaded stepchild of my company, and I've hated these for a long time. But we might have to really make an effort to put these out in quantity, because I think they're going to get popular, especially since, you know, now they're based on Turkish guns that we can actually get, and these are, you know, high quality and nice, and I love them. And we are heading out. In fact, I just talked to Edwin today about, or yesterday, whatever, about going out to Vegas, doing a trip, doing a video at Battlefield Vegas, where they're gonna run these through the ringer, and we see how they go. So here's a little video of this thing firing. I think it's gonna be a winner, and I think you will too. Let me know in the comments. And here we go. Wow. Pretty cool. What did I do to that last shot though? Ah, nothing smells like shotgun. All right, folks, what'd you think of the fireball? Pretty cool. Well, thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate you as always, and I will catch you next time. Hard chrome. Hard chrome, yes.